Good morning. I'm Karen Hamstra. Welcome to Title Talk on Monday, April 29th. It's almost the end of April, which means in 2 more days we will have the May edition of Book Page out for you. So here are 2 things you can do. You can hurry in either today or tomorrow and grab one of the last few copies of the April edition, or you can come anytime after Wednesday in May and get the new May edition. I have some books I want to breeze through briefly just to show you that these authors have new books. First of all, we will be releasing this book later today. There is a waiting list, but you can certainly sign up right now if you want to read James Patterson's The 18th Abduction. And this one is one that is written with Maxine Pietro, or however you say her last name. I know a lot of people think those are the best books that Patterson is writing at present. So we have 2 copies of that. Mary Kay Andrews has a new book, Sunset Beach. That will not be releasing until next Tuesday, May 7th, but nonetheless, be aware that it's coming. Fern Michaels has a new one, The Godmothers, Far and Away. I always love seeing her with her little dogs and her big dog. She goes from one extreme to the other. Robin Carr, this book will be released tomorrow. The View from Alameda Island, a novel. I believe that one has probably some holds on it too, but you can certainly sign up. Jill Eileen Smith, The Heart of a King, The Loves of Solomon. That is a Christian novel. And let's see. Patricia Briggs, if you're a fan of hers, has one called Stormcrest. That will not be coming out until next Tuesday. If I don't show these to you now, they will be gone by the time I think about it. The Unicorn Anthology, which is edited by Peter S. Beagle. This is a new fantasy anthology, so if you like short fantasy stories, that might be a good one. And then Jamie Beck has a new one called The Promise of Us, a Sanctuary Sound novel. And we have some other books I want to show you. Viola Shipman, The Summer Cottage. This is from the best-selling author of The Charm Bracelet and The Recipe Box. It's the perfect summer escape about the restorative power of family, tradition, small-town community, and the feel of sand between your toes. What could be better right now than reading about the feel of sand between your toes? Let's see if there's anybody here. Adriana Trigiani and Debbie Maycomer both recommend this book. So who could go wrong with that kind of a recommendation? Alan Morris Jones has a new one called Sweeney on the Rocks. This is a mystery. It says Ted Sweeney, affable everyman in small town Montana. 10 minutes ago, his biggest worry had been how to pay for the engagement ring rattling around in his pocket. But that was before he came home to find a corpse tidily arranged in his favorite recliner. Is it a warning, a setup, or what? Read Sweeney on the Rocks to find out. Here is a suspense novel by James C. Work, Ranger McIntyre, Small Delightful Murders. Supervisor Nicholson stood up, walked to the window, walked back to the chair, and sat down. Dottie, he said, open McIntyre's file. Take out that sheet of paper where I listed all the reasons I should have him transferred to Death Valley. Do you spell entrapment with 1 P or 2? You might as well keep the file on your desk. A Risky Undertaking for Loretta Singletary by Terry Shames. This is another mystery, a Samuel Craddock mystery. Chief Samuel Craddock's old friend Loretta Singletary, a mainstay of the Jarrett Creek community, has undergone a transformation with a new hairstyle and modern clothes. He thinks nothing of it until she disappears. Only then does he find out that she has been meeting men through an online dating site geared toward small-town singles. When a woman in a neighboring town turns up dead after meeting someone through the same dating site, Craddock becomes alarmed. Will he be able to find Loretta before she suffers the same fate? Finding out what happened to Loretta forces him to investigate an online world he is unfamiliar with, and one that brings more than a few surprises. So that sounds kind of fun if you like mysteries. Give Me Some Sugar by Molly Harper. She has written more than 20 novels, including the previous Southern eclectic titles Ain't She a Peach and Sweet Tea and Sympathy. This is a romance. Lucy Bowman would have never guessed that her best friend, Duffy McCready, of the McCready family funeral home and bait shop, has been in love with her since they were kids. Duffy lacked the nerve to confess his true feelings then, so he stood by and watched her wed another guy right after high school. But now Lucy is back in town, a new widow, and he's torn between wanting to respect her bereavement and not letting a second chance pass him by. Give Me Some Sugar by Molly Harper. The Mother-in-Law by Sally Hepworth. This is another mystery. It says, from the moment Lucy met her husband's mother, she knew she wasn't the wife Diana had envisioned for her perfect son. Exquisitely polite, friendly, and always generous, Diana nonetheless kept Lucy at arm's length despite her desperate attempts to win her over. And because she was a pillar in the community, an advocate for female refugees, and a woman happily married for decades, no one had a bad word to say about Diana. Except Lucy. And that was 5 years ago. Now Diana is dead. A suicide note near her body. And you can imagine it goes on and it turns into murder. And probably Diana has to investigate. The Old Drift by Namwali Serpell. It's probably not even close. This is a fantasy novel. It is recommended by the likes of Alice Sebold, Jennifer McCombie, Fiona McFarland. It says 3 families, 4 generations, fates collide as a nation is born and drifts toward ruin. Or is it revolution? On the banks of the Zambezi River, a few miles from the majestic Victoria Falls, there was once a colonial settlement called Old Drift. Here begins the epic story of a small African nation told by a mysterious swarm that calls itself man's greatest nemesis. The tale, a playful panorama of history, fairy tale, romance, and science fiction. The moral, to err is human. The Old Drift, Namwali Serpell. I'm getting better at that name. I have a nonfiction book that should be hot, but currently is not at our library. The Moment of Lift by Melinda Gates of Bill and Melinda Gates fame. How Empowering Women Changes the World. And this can be found on the new bookshelf at 305.42. It's just a story. It says, for the last 20 years, Melinda Gates has been on a mission to find solutions for people with the most urgent needs wherever they live. Throughout this journey, one thing has become increasingly clear to her. If you want to lift a society up, you need to stop keeping women down. I did just read an interview with her over the weekend about some of the topics in the book, and it sounded like it would be a really good read. And again, it's at 305.42, and it should hit the shelves just right after this show is over. A couple of large print titles for you. Beth Wiseman has a new Amish book, Hearts in Harmony. This is an Amish journal novel. It sounds kind of fun. Levi Shetler is a musical prodigy, but playing the piano isn't allowed in his strict Amish community. Mary Hirschberger loves to sing and knows Levi's secret. When the pair is reunited as young adults, they question whether their talents are God-given gifts or temptations luring them into the English world. They realize they must compromise or part ways, but a tragic accident shakes their decision. Mary and Levi must reconcile what they love with what their hearts say is right, because while music unites them, it could also tear them apart. Hearts in Harmony. And our last book today is Wonderland, a novel by Jennifer Cody Epstein. Let's see, Chris Bojalian, Jamie Ford both recommend this book. It says East Village, 1989. Things have never been easy between Ava Fisher and her estranged mother Ilsa. Too many questions hover between them. Who was Ava's father? Where had Ilsa been during the war? Why did Ilsa abandon Ava in a German orphanage only to return at war's end? But now, Ilsa's ashes have arrived from Germany without warning, along with a trove of unsent letters addressed to an unknown woman, Renata Bauer. As her mother's secret missives unfurl a dark past, Ava spirals deep into the shocking history of a woman she never truly knew. Wunderland. I did read an excerpt, 5 days worth of excerpts last week on the Chapter a Day online book club, and this really is a good read. If you like historical novels, I can tell you it gets off to a good start, and you would probably enjoy it. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you have a good reading week, and I will see you next week.